The late 18th and early 19th centuries saw changes to guitar construction. Most notably was the evolution to the use of 6 single strings rather than 5 courses of strings, as with the Baroque instrument. The body slightly increased in size, with a pronounced waist. Fan bracing, extended fingerboards, bridge pins, and machine tuners were used for some instruments. The rose was replaced by an open sound hole with a rosette, and the guitars may feature ornate bridges curved into a moustache shape. Guitars of this era began to more closely resemble what we recognize as our modern instrument. Nationalistic building styles arose, and famous makers included Lecoq in France, Stauffer in Austria, the workshop where C.F. Martin apprenticed, and Panormo in England. With these changes, practices for technique were established. Many guitar tutors were published, and there arose a school of professional guitarists who had multifaceted careers as performers, teachers, and composers with numerous publications. Fernando Sor, Dionisio Aguado, Matteo Carcassi, Ferdinando Carulli, and Mauro Giuliani are names which greet classical guitarists from their earliest days of study and remain into their professional careers. Mauro Giuliani was born in Italy and lived from 1781 until 1829. A contemporary of Ludwig van Beethoven and Franz Schubert, Giuliani also lived and worked in Vienna, Austria. Vienna is known as the City of Music for the numerous composers who have called it home and the great public support for musical activity in the city. Upon arriving in Vienna in 1806, Giuliani soon became regarded for his talent in compositions. He became a chamber virtuoso to Empress Marie-Louise, wife of Napoleon, and he associated and performed with great musicians such as Joseph Maystater, Ignaz Moscheles, and Johann Hummel, who trained with Mozart, was a friend to Beethoven, and to whom Haydn dedicated a sonata. Beethoven was in attendance at a concert given by Giuliani, and he may have dined with both Giuliani and Hummel on at least one occasion. He acknowledged Giuliani in a list of performers who were involved in a concert of his music. Giuliani likely played cello in this ensemble. This closeness of a virtuosic guitarist to the larger classical music world is very special, and one can consider the musical influence. Despite his connections, publications, numerous glowing concert reviews, and other successes, Giuliani incurred financial difficulties. His debts may have contributed to his decision to leave Vienna in 1819. A letter to a friend dated in November of that year describes the ever-familiar challenges of a professional freelance musician. Dearest friend, I plan to spend a week in Trieste to see my parents and then see if I can arrange for a concert to console those poor people from whom I have had no news for a long time. From Trieste, I am counting on going to Parma to see my patroness and get some letters for Florence and Milan. I doubt I shall go to Naples and Rome, inasmuch, dear friend, the misery is great. Imagine that admission to the theaters is 50 centesimi for a concert ticket, and you can't earn more than £1, which in our money is 20 crowns, and you are not sure of having 200 people. At Verona, all my best friends advised me not to give a concert, being certain of not making anything, as even poor Paganini did not even make expenses, and thus had to make up the difference out of his own pocket. At Vicenza, I ran into the son of Marshal Bellegarde. He told me that at this point everyone was away in the country, and then it was a matter of only 50-some francs, which is the reason I didn't perform. At Padua, it was the same story, since the mania of poverty is rampant in the streets. Now here in Venice, I believed myself to be in a city where at least I would earn a couple of thousand francs. But the protestations of Signor Pericini make me nervous. He tells me, in fact, that Paganini only sold 300 tickets at 3 francs, and that the famous Berman had to make it up out of his pocket. On the other hand, heaven is good to me, and come what may, I am giving a concert, better wounded than dead. Giuliani's Opus 99, written in the later part of his stay in Vienna, uses an Austrian folk song theme to which the lyrics translate, "The differences to aught twixt having gold and having naught." After leaving Vienna, Giuliani performed in Rome, where he lived for a few years, and then moved to Naples, where he performed in duet with his daughter Emilia. Giuliani died on May 8, 1829. An announcement in a local journal read, "On the morning of the 8th of this month, Mauro Giuliani, the famous guitarist, died in this capital. The guitar was transformed in his hands into an instrument similar to the harp, sweetly soothing men's hearts. He is succeeded by a daughter of tender age, who shows herself to be the inheritor of his uncommon ability, a circumstance which alone can assuage the sadness of this loss." Within a few years, a guitar magazine began publication bearing Giuliani's name. One of its proponents was Ferdinand Peltzer, father of Madame Sidney Pratton, who would later give a performance of Giuliani's third concerto with Giuliani's niece at the piano. Giuliani composed solo works, guitar duos, concertos, and chamber music for combinations of guitar with flute, voice, piano, and strings. His entire catalog has been edited by Brian Jeffrey and published in 39 volumes through Tekla Editions, made available in 2020 as online digital editions. Among the highlights of Giuliani's great contributions to guitar repertoire is his Grand Overture, Opus 61, which is a favorite of advanced players. An analysis of this work by duo Maccari-Pugliese states that the piece was written to emulate the sound of an orchestra, and the evocation of colors and textures should be considered in its interpretation. The duo offers a fascinating proposal to imagine the work having first been composed for orchestra, and they share an orchestration of the work as such, which is available on YouTube. Giuliani's Opus 46 is comprised of 10 pieces, each based on a different flower. Giuliani's Sonata Eroica, and his 6 Rossinianas, based on opera themes of Rossini, also offer large-scale works for the virtuosic performer. His Grand Duo Concertante, Opus 85, offers guitar and flute or guitar and violin duets, an exciting and substantial work. And his Serenade, Opus 19, for violin, cello, and guitar, has beautiful melodies traded between instruments, contrasts of rhythm and articulation, and is wonderfully scored to allow the guitar ample moments to be heard through the luscious melodies of its trio partners. Mauro Giuliani's fourth child, Emilia, became a virtuosic guitarist and composer as well. Emilia was born in 1813 and only lived until 1850. Information about her life can be difficult to ascertain, but many details about her childhood, her siblings, and her mother have been shared through Michael Lorenz's blog post, New Light on Mauro Giuliani's Vienna Years, and some information about Emilia's career can be gathered through concert reviews, such as those shared in writings by Thomas Heck and Nicoletta Confaloni. In 1828, she gave her concert debut in duet with her father in Naples. A review of the performance stated, "The guitar pieces executed by him and by one of his daughters named Emilia pleased so much that he and this young lady, for whom we have great hopes, were repeatedly applauded and ultimately given a curtain call by the public. That performance occurred in February, and in October of the same year, Emilia gave a solo performance between acts of an opera. A report stated that she showed herself to be not only a worthy disciple, but also an emulator of her father. Emilia performed in cities such as Vienna, Pest, Naples, and Florence, where in 1839 she performed during a concert that also featured the famed pianist and composer Franz Liszt. The review for this and other concerts by Emilia show favor and adoration for her skills. Emilia's compositions have been collected and included in a book by Nicoletta Confalone and Robert Caldwell, which is published by DGA Editions. The book also includes biographical information in English and Italian. Emilia's compositions share some traits with her father's music. Where he wrote Rossinianas, she composed Bellinianas. Her compositions show a virtuoso's understanding of guitar mechanics, just as you would expect from works by her father.
She left us a great number of works. We have a set of 6 Belliniana, which were perhaps written to capitalize on the continued popularity of her father's Rossiniana. And she wrote several other sets of variations that were inspired by opera works. There's a wonderful, very playful set of variations on a theme of Rossini. There's also a really very virtuosic, wonderful set of variations on a theme by Mercadante. One of her great collections of pieces is a set of 6 preludes that are really, really innovative and inventive, and they're wonderful music. Although Emilia Giuliani's life was very short, and I think must have been quite difficult, I really look at it as a kind of success story. I think she accomplished a great deal when the odds were really stacked against her. She was a woman trying to make it in the music world. She was playing an instrument which was clearly out of favor in Italy at the time. And she was doing all of her work in the shadow of her father's formidable reputation, which I can only imagine must have been a great deal of pressure. I really think it's time that Emilia Giuliani Guglielmi and her wonderful music get their moment in the spotlight.
The 6 preludes are Opus 46 in her catalog. Opuses 1 to 11 were published by Giovanni Ricordi between 1834 and 1837. That leaves 35 opuses unaccounted for. From Mauro Giuliani's compositions and performances to his unique involvement in the Viennese musical circles of the early 19th century, he is truly one of the classical guitar's great figures. His daughter Emilia also established herself as a virtuoso and composer, following in the footsteps of her father and earning great regard for her own work.